but she also participates in soccer and basketball. Swimming, she also really loves. Track and field is another one. She's done bocce, and she also does equestrian, which is actually her very favorite sport, but we don't have it in Vermont, but you guys are lucky enough to have it here in Maine. So that's a little bit about me and why I'm involved with Special Olympics and why I love Special Olympics. So the next slide just is a question, what is a healthy diet? And I like this because of the fact that our body is really made up of basically what we eat. Healthy eating and a healthy diet, it gives us health to improve our abilities to do things, to participate in Special Olympics, to, have fun and get involved with family and do things. And basically, if we didn't eat a healthy diet, we wouldn't be able to do well. We would just be tired and lying around all the time and not feeling good. So a healthy diet really fuels our bodies so we can be the best athletes we can. The next slide is even a better picture because it shows an athlete. I'm thinking he's running track and field here. And good food helps us to build strong muscles and bones. Again, what you eat goes into your body and then goes to make strong bones, your heart work, your liver to work, your muscles to work, and everything else. In addition to giving you things to build your body, it also gives us energy so we can play these sports and do our everyday activities. So you really need food for not only building your body and your strength, but also just to give you energy. So there's kind of two really important reasons for eating and eating healthy. Certainly you can get health. You can certainly get enough calories from food, but it's important to also get the nutrients. So the next slide is one that you may have seen before. It's called My Plate. And it's put out by the government. It's been around for a number of years, and it shows that basically your plate should look like this. You should have fruits and or vegetables on half the plate, and then the other quarter of the plate up in the corner there, you're going to have grains like pasta or rice or so on. And then the bottom corner is your protein foods like meats and chicken, fish. Some people eat beans and rice, whatever it is, but protein. So that's where you're going to get all these healthy nutrients. And then the final thing is the dairy up in the corner, and that can be a glass of milk or it could be cheese, whatever you want to have your dairy, source for dairy. So this is a picture of a plate. It looks really good. But I'm wondering, based on the picture we just saw, do you think it has all four foods in it? And if you look at it, you're probably going to notice that there's lettuce and veggies, looks like radishes and carrots and so on. And it's got the protein, looks like sliced chicken there, but what category is missing? If you say the bread or grain group, you're exactly right, because there's no grain in that. Not that that's a problem. You could certainly add a slice of bread or a few crackers or something, but it's just an example of how, a plate should really have all four ingredients in it. The next picture is a more standard meal with all the areas covered. You've got, I'm thinking that's broccoli up in the corner, the green, and then we've got it looks like sliced oranges. We've got the pasta in the other section, and then finally, I'm thinking this is salmon, cooked salmon, which is a really good fish to be eating. And then, of course, you have your glass of milk up in the corner. So that's an example of a nice My Plate. Now, next picture is my daughter's favorite meal. She happens to really like soft casserole sorts of foods. So as a result, this would be her ideal meal, but it would actually fit into all the categories that My Plate talks about, because you've got, as you can see, the broccoli and the carrots. I guess that's the only vegetables in there. You've got chicken, and you've got pasta, And you've even got the dairy group with the cheese on top. So this fits perfectly with my plate's description of what a well-balanced meal should be. So the next slide we have is the handout that you received. And of all the different types of materials I've ever seen to really help people figure out what are the best types of foods to eat, this stoplight food guide, I think, is the most useful. And I recommend, if you have enough room on your refrigerator, tape up each page, and it would help you make decisions about the best types of foods to be eating. So just like a stoplight is go, caution, stop, this is the same idea for this particular guide for what kind of foods to eat. So the go list are pretty much anytime choices. They're the healthiest and the lowest in calories and fat and sugars and so on. It has good nutrients in it. And it's also, we recommend to have 2 or more choices from each food group every day, if you can do that, to fill yourself up with good, healthy foods. Now, the slow group is the sometime choices. And these foods are, they may look like they're great and they are good, but they oftentimes have more fat or sugar or calories in them. They may have a little less nutrition. So we say aim for these 1 or 2 servings a day from this group. Try to stick to the go group. And then the woe group, which is rarely eat, are the foods that are highest in fat and sugar and calories, and I'm sure you know what they all are. And the other thing about it is oftentimes they don't have as much nutrition, meaning good vitamins and minerals and protein and so on. So we definitely say that should be the category that you're going to save for special occasions, like if you're going to a birthday party. The next page is just the bottom half of that handout page, and this one shows you, again, the My Plate, but also shows you the nutrition facts, which is found on most packaged foods. And it just gives you more information about the food that you're going to be eating. And I think the only thing that's probably the most interesting to look at is at the bottom part, you can see where it talks about the amount of vitamin A or calcium or vitamin C or iron in the foods. And as you can see, this doesn't have much of any major vitamins or minerals in it. So I'm not sure what it is, but it doesn't look very, very healthy in the scheme of things. It may taste good, but it doesn't have a lot of nutrients, which are important to fuel our body. So I'm just going to run through these next few pages of the handout quickly, just so you can kind of see how it's put together. And it goes by different food categories. So the first category is the grains, and that includes breads and rice and cereal, pasta, crackers, and so on. And the anytime go category includes things like plain oatmeal, English muffins, mini bagels, plain popcorn, wheat crackers. And it also includes granola bars because people like to snack on granola bars. And it says, and this is where you have to look on the label, it says less than 5 grams of sugar. It also includes wheat bread and wheat pasta. So we'd rather you have wheat products instead of white bread and white pasta. And then under the sometime group includes things like pancakes and waffles, low-fat muffins, and so on, low-fat popcorn, and then granola bars with 5 to 10 grams of sugar per granola bar. And then in the rarely group, as you can imagine, it's biscuits, donuts, muffins, breadsticks, all those higher fat, higher calorie sorts of grains. And butter, popcorn, and so on also are in that category. So it's again, it's special occasion sorts of foods. The next category is your is the fruit group. And as you can imagine, this includes all your fruits that are, a lot of them are raw, and the raw ones or uncooked ones are the ones that you snack on pretty much at any time you want. Obviously, you shouldn't eat a whole huge portion of grapes, but certainly a handful of them is a good snack. So most raw fruits are in this anytime category. Sometimes ones includes canned fruit that's in a light syrup. But if you had canned fruit in a heavy syrup, that would be in the rarely category. And as you know, it's because of the sugar that's added to the heavy syrups. Juices are in the sometimes group because juice, although it's a great source of nutrition, it also can really add up with calories. So we say 100% fruit juices are in the sometimes, and then the canned fruits and high fat sugars containing sorts of fruits and fruit pies and cobblers, those are all in the rarely group. The next category is the vegetable group. And as you know, that's an important category of foods for getting lots of what we call micronutrients, vitamins and minerals. The anytime group is all the raw veggies that you know about, broccoli and carrots and cucumbers and peppers and spinach and lettuce and so on. And those are great to have as a salad with fat-free dressing. Then we have some starchier vegetables, which are also in the anytime group, but it's like baked potato, sweet potatoes, corn. They just have a little more starch in them, but they're still good to eat. The sometimes group obviously includes vegetables that maybe have some butter or fat of some sort in them. Some coleslaw with low-fat mayonnaise is in this category, but if you had coleslaw with regular dressing on it, that's probably in the rarely category. And then rarely is the things that we all know about, such as French fries and onion rings, potato salad, and so on. Anything that has fried or gravy on it. If you live down south, you have a lot of things with bacon fat in it, and that would be in the rarely column. But we don't really have too much of that up here in New England. The next category is your dairy category, and I always think this is such an important category because it not only gives you calcium for strong bones and vitamin D, but it also gives you protein, like in cheese and puddings and yogurts and so on. So again, the dairy category, ideally skim milk and 1% milk and fat-free yogurts and so on. We're in this category. Fat-free cottage cheese is a great thing. Put that with fruit and you've got a great snack. The sometimes category includes like 2% milk, 1% chocolate milk, low-fat cheeses and so on, low-fat yogurts. And then the rarely category is where you should probably avoid, except on special occasions, as I said, ice cream, regular cheeses. You can buy low-fat cheddar cheese, which works great. Regular yogurts, you should probably just make sure you get the low-fat yogurts instead. So that's the dairy category. And again, it's such an important category to begin with that I always hate to say rarely to yogurts, but it's best to have the low-fat versions. Protein category, we all know protein's so important for your health, and you should have protein at least twice a day, once at lunch and once at dinner. And so the anytime category here is skinless chicken. You know, you have chicken, but you just don't eat the skin. Low-fat turkey or ham, like say cold cuts. Oftentimes they may have higher salt content, but in terms of fat and nutrition, they're good. Let's see, canned tuna, nothing better than a canned tuna sandwich with fat-free mayonnaise. Natural peanut butter is in this category, but you need to kind of watch how much you eat because peanut butter is high in fat naturally because it's a nut. And then in the sometimes category, you have meats that may be pan-fried or have the skin on the chicken. Low-fat bologna's in this category, as is low-fat hot dogs, if you really must have some. And then in the rarely column, that's, of course, the things that have lots of fat, bacon, bologna, sausage, fried fish, and so on. Those things have mostly a lot of fat, and it's a shame because it does have protein, which is vital for your body to have. So the next group, we're getting more into the extras and the snacks and so on. But the extras are actually sauces and dressings and dips and so on. And again, any time includes any of your fat-free products, fat-free mayonnaise, fat-free salad dressings, and so on. Mustard, ketchup, those things all belong in there. Actually, ketchup belongs in the sometimes. Mustard is in the anytime. My daughter happens to love ketchup. And I keep saying it's okay, but it is salty, but she really likes her ketchup. Let's see. There's other things in the sometimes category are syrups and honeys and guacamole, which again is another one of my favorites, but it's made with avocado, which does have a little more fat in it. That's low fat whipped cream is in the sometimes category. And then rarely, of course, is regular mayonnaise and regular dips and butter and gravy and so on. And again, it's just extra fat, which our body really doesn't need. The next category is snacks and sweets. And again, I'm sure you know many of the things that are recommended. We already talked about a lot of the fruits and so on. Low-fat cheeses are good, low-fat popcorn. I think I used to live on low-fat popcorn when I was younger as a snack food. It was really popular. Pretzels are good. The sometimes category includes all your low-fat versions of food, such as crackers and cookies. Jello's in this category. Baked chips versus regular potato chips, which are fried. And then again, your high fat, high calorie snacks are such things as candy bars and ice cream, Pop-Tarts, things that you probably know are not a good idea, just special occasions. And the last category, which is going to bring us into our hydration portion of this talk, but the drink category. And again, as you know, from Healthy Athletes, we talk a lot about drinking lots of fluids and staying hydrated. So water is obviously in the anytime category. Diet juices, which are really regular juice, which is just diluted, so it's still a juice flavor, but it's not as many calories. And then unsweetened tea and unflavored waters and so on and so forth in that category. Crystal Light, Propel, Propel that's calorie free and so on. The sometimes category includes, it's interesting, 100% fruit juice. And again, fruit juice in itself is healthy, but because it does have a good number of carbs when you get it actually in one of those jars, that's why they put it in the sometimes category. But if you dilute it, then it can go in the anytime category. Half and half, half sweetened, half unsweetened teas. People down south, again, drink a lot of tea, so this is more for folks down there. Reduced calorie sports drinks and Kool-Aid, things like that. Again, just looking for the lower calorie versions. And then rarely used are regular soda, fruit juices and punch, sweet teas, smoothies, slushies, all those kind of high calorie energy drinks that you see so much of. And again, a lot of times you just have to look on the label to see what's the most important. Now, I've gone through all this and you're going, oh my goodness, what do I eat? What do I not eat? Well, there really are some simple rules to kind of follow. And I think this is an important slide just to kind of help you sort this all out. First off, don't skip meals, because what happens is if you skip a meal, you become hungry and then you eat more at the next meal. So even if you don't want to eat a lot for breakfast or you want to wait until say 9 or 10 o'clock, that's okay. But have something in the morning, have something around noontime, and then have something at night. So don't skip meals because you're going to eat less in the end. Again, try to eat lots of fruits and vegetables to help fill you up. And along those same lines is to drink water. Drink lots of water. It says 3 water bottles a day. Sometimes some people like to drink water or some people don't. I'm not really a water drinker, so I have to kind of work myself to drink that much water. Going back to that idea of my plate, just think about your plate being half full of fruits and vegetables, and the other half would be your grains, poultry, and then your dairy to drink. Save junk food, like Cookie Monster's trying to decide here what to have. Save your junk food, sodas, chips, desserts, just for special occasions. They're not really junk food, they're just special occasion food. So it's not like it's totally junk, but it's not something you should have all the time. And then keep snacks healthy and small. That's just kind of the best way to think about snacking, not have big portions. So Something people often ask me, and again, I worked for many years being a dietitian, and people will say to me, "What if I really don't like to eat healthy foods? What can I do?" And the answer really is just to take small steps and just think about one thing you want to change at a time. Get someone to help you think through it. Um, just for example, take fruit for your in your lunch instead of chips, or drink a fruit juice instead of soda at a mealtime. Just take small steps. The other thing that we often talk about is just take one taste of a new food. You don't have to eat the whole thing. Just take one taste and then continually try to do this every now and again. Just make sure that you're eating more foods, but in a slow manner so you don't feel like you're shoving it in. And then the other thing is looking for healthier versions of your favorite foods, such as diet soda instead of regular soda, drinking orange juice instead of soda, eating fresh oranges, as I said, instead of chips for lunchtime. And I included this picture of soup because this is a great way for people that really don't like vegetables to get veggies in a soup where they're cooked and they're a little bit more mellowed out. They taste a lot better. So there's all kinds of ways to slowly change your eating habits, and you just have to think about it. So that kind of leads me into the second part of this, which is what about healthy drinks? And you might have seen this sort of thing before. It lists all the amount of sugar in all different kinds of sports drinks that are out there. And it's interesting because athletes, they want quick energy when they're doing athletic events. So that's how these kind of high sugar drinks came about. But then it's just evolved because people like the taste of sugar. So looking at this slide here, you can see in a can of Coke, it's got 12, the equivalent of 12 sugar cubes or 12 teaspoons of sugar in it in one, or 10 rather, in one can of Coke. That's a lot of sugar you don't need. The same thing goes for the sweetened teas, the monster drinks, and so on. So a glass of water, as you probably know, has no sugar in it. So that's why we encourage you to drink water. So here's some alternatives, which I did mention earlier, but I'll show it again. I like these additives to water because I don't really like plain water, but I like flavored things. And my daughter's the same way. So we're always buying these either little packets of dried flavoring that you can put in water, or the little drops that you buy. So it just makes the water more interesting to taste. And of course, you can also use things like lemon or lime and put it in fresh water and let it sit. But just sweeten the water in some way and drink it that way. That certainly works. The other thing is to, instead of drinking regular soda, choose the sugar-free versions. Same thing with seltzer. I like seltzer because I happen to like bubbles. So I like to have seltzer water has flavors to it. But that's how you get around the sodas and seltzers.
You have a question, you said?
So if you're going to infuse water, like cucumbers, obviously, but if you were going to infuse it with a fruit that has a lot of natural sugar and stuff in it, is there like an amount per 8 ounces that you would recommend putting in to infuse? Because I know we're trying to like eliminate the amount of sugar, and if you're putting fruit in it for an infused water, you're adding that natural sugar to it. So is there a recommended amount for infusions like that?
Are you talking about using like a fruit juice that you would add to plain water?
No, we're going to put fresh strawberries or fresh blueberries and stuff like that. It has all of its natural flavors and stuff like that. Is there a limit, like maybe 2 strawberries per 8 ounces or whatnot? That way you're not adding too much of the natural sugar to your water, or is there really a limit on that?
There's probably not a limit. I would say if you think about in the anytime category of fruits, they really have no limit. But I usually think like a cup or a half a cup of the raw fruit in the infused water would be fine. If you want to add more sweetener because it's not sweet enough, use something like Sweet and Low. That's what I would recommend if you wanted to do that. So there's really no limit, and in my opinion, it's probably better to do it the way you're talking about it rather than to buy the juices, which are 100% juice, which are definitely have more than what you would do if you were using the fresh fruit and just blending it in. Does that answer your
Okay,
question?
thank you.
Yeah, it's a good
Thank you.
question though, because people wonder what to do. Let's see. And again, I have to admit, before I came here, I stopped at Aroma Joe's to get myself some coffee, but I said, no, Molly, you're not going to get one of those fancy lattes. So I got myself just plain old black coffee with just cream. I don't like sugar in my coffee, but I always try to stick to the plain coffee rather than the sweetened things, which taste a lot better. But again, plain coffee, plain tea, put a little milk in it, put a sugar substitute if you want. That's fine if you really need the sweetener, but just watch the extras when you get coffees. So here's your challenge, and this is what I was trying to think. Okay, how do we deal with this? With all this information again that I gave you earlier. Try 3 things to make some changes in the types of foods you eat in your daily eating habits. Again, first thing is aim for more green light foods and less yellow and red. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, gosh, people could take that handout and circle all the foods they like in each category. And that would give you an idea of when you're thinking, what am I going to eat? You aim for the green category of foods there. Plus, it would also give you a sense of, gee, what don't I like in the green category? So if you're trying to think of some new foods to add, it would give you some idea of what should I add. So aim for more green light foods and less red and yellow light foods. Second thing to try and think about doing is think about your drinks. Just drink more water. I'm sitting here looking at Grace drinking some water right now because it's good to stay hydrated, and it's good to drink water. And again, I'm not a water drinker, so I always have to think about it, but other people drink water a lot. And then the third thing to try to do is try not to snack between meals. And if you do, it should be fruits or vegetables. And of course, that's easy to say, not so easy to do. And I think one of the big things is just not having the things around to snack on. I'm always telling myself, Molly, why do you have snacks in your car when you're driving? But there's other things that you can think about. Try to avoid snacking between meals. The thing that I always like to say to people, and especially myself, is when I'm reaching for a snack, are you really hungry? Or do you just think you are? Or are you just bored and you're just thinking you're hungry, but you're not really hungry, you're just bored? And what can I do instead of eating? I often think about, oh, I just should get up and take the dogs on a walk. Or, oh, I should go out into the kitchen and wash the dishes. But, just try to think of something else to do instead of eating. So that's kind of the challenge question for you. The next little section we're going to talk about is first, barriers to good nutrition. And this could be another whole talk in itself, but one of the big barriers is just having enough time to cook the foods or to organize the foods that you should be eating. The second thing is having good cooking skills and cooking skills to know how to cook things. My husband's the worst cook in the world. If he doesn't know how to put something in the microwave or fry it on top of the stove, he doesn't really know how to cook. The third thing is just having enough money to buy the foods that you really want to be buying. Fresh fruits and vegetables are expensive, so that's another piece to it. I just put this picture of a grocery list up there because I happen to think that, having a grocery list is very helpful when you go to the grocery store, because then you know what you should be getting and what you're thinking about. Grace is going to talk about the SNAP program in a second, but that's another way to give yourself some more healthy foods. So what if I can't afford foods? As I mentioned before, they are expensive. And there are many resources that I'm going to let Grace take over and talk about. I can talk more about ones over in Vermont because that's where I lived for many years, but I'm still learning about the resources in Maine. So I'm going to let Grace talk about resources for the area.
Okay, so we do have many resources here in Maine. We have food pantries in every county, and community meals in every county. And a community meal is just put on by the community centers that once a week, and they are for both people with disability and who may be a little bit older. And we also have the SNAP program here in Maine, which can and does work with your Maine Care benefits, even if you are living in a group home or shared living. So on the back of this, the last slide, or one of the last slides in this, is the local resources. So there's a list of area food pantries. There's the community meal options across the state. There's the SNAP application and the SNAP education site. And there's also an example of a menu on a budget that you can use to create your own meal planning when you're thinking about cooking. And then if you have any other questions, perhaps you are maybe in need of a community case manager, or you're not sure where these things are, you can always email me at my email address, which is graces@somaine.org. And my role here at Special Olympics is to help people with all these health resources. So if you're struggling to, with healthy eating, I'm here to help people figure it out and point you in the right direction. So I'll also add my email to this slide as well before I send them out to everyone. And that is the end of the presentation. And we hope it was useful, and we'll post this onto our YouTube page, as well as email it to everyone who signed up, and we'll also include the slides in that as well.
I appreciated it and I got a lot out of it. So I thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Thanks for your question.
I feel I did it just for